Hello and welcome to the Unconventional Podcast with Grace Hardy. Today we have Callum Church, who is the co-founder of Help Bank, so welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
It's okay. So you started your journey from apprenticeship and then you went into freelancing. What made you take that leap?
Yeah, so I guess I was never really particularly great with authority. I didn't like working for people, and I just came to the realization that every moment that I was spending working for someone else, my hard work was going into their pocket, and that didn't make sense to me. I was like, screw this, I want to work for myself. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, that's what made me make the push. And I had my own personal ambitions that I wanted to do. At that time, I wanted to run a podcast, and freelancing opened me up and gave me time to be able to, pursue those things. So.
And what was your podcast, Happy Days with Callum Church, all about?
It was about self-development for young people. So kind of aligned to this podcast, right? Yeah, I just wanted to share my journey of self-development. Looking back on it, it's a little bit cringy now, but that was just me at that period of time. And it helped me a lot. I had a lot of opportunities come through that podcast, met my business partner, met my mentor through the podcast. So the podcast never made any real money. It wasn't hugely successful, didn't have tons and tons of listeners, but I kind of owe everything to that podcast. So.
Well, it was such a good foundation to have as well. And I feel like having a podcast gives you so many skills that you didn't have already. Like this podcast has helped me so much, to communicate better with people and ask questions in a way that I would have been terrible at before.
Yeah. And it probably helps you with your public speaking stuff as well, right?
Yeah, massively.
Just being able to articulate yourself. I'm a bit rusty now, so we'll see how I do with the podcast today. But yeah, I became quite a good speaker by the end of it, especially doing solo episodes. Waffling into a microphone for half an hour at a time really helps you with your articulation. So
that's what I'm terrified to do, so I've not done it yet. But being a business owner, what, looking back now, is something that you wish you were taught about finance in school? Because when you're a freelancer, you have to figure out your tax return and all that lovely stuff by yourself, and no one's really there to help you.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm still a victim of this even now. Like, I've hired you as my accountant because I don't really want to touch this stuff. I wasn't taught it. I'm not that skill set isn't attractive to me. I find it really boring. I find it really frustrating. So I just hire people in to do it for me, right? So what do I wish I was taught in school? I mean, it's always good to have a base knowledge of tax. I think that's always a good thing, which fortunately I do have now. So probably
well done.
Yeah, just that base knowledge.
Amazing. And so you said that you met your business partner through your podcast, which is how sort of Help Bank has now formed. But how did that idea originally start?
This was always the vision of Simon Squibb. So a lot of people listening will know of Simon and the work that we do together. I've worked with Simon for the past 3 years, and in that time we've grown his socials up to 6 million cross-platform. We're reaching billions of people and having true impact, And how did that come about? So I had Simon on my podcast, and we just got chatting through, having him on as a guest. And he needed someone to help him with his socials, and he basically came to me and said, look, I need someone to help me with the content side of things. We're going to be like a content-led company, I guess, influencer-led. And he needed a content guy. And he said, look, are you in? And I was just like, this guy's super successful. He's just come back from Hong Kong, big exit. Chances are this guy's, whatever he's going to do next is going to be big. So it's kind of opportunity of a lifetime. I owe a lot to Simon Squibb for sure. And
you told me about the story about how he sort of made sure you'd put everything into the business. So you were very set.
Yeah, a couple of months into partnering up with Simon, he wanted to make sure that I was really bought into the company, right? Just a quick background on me, a middle-class upbringing, very comfortable, which in some ways is a bit of a curse to be so comfortable like that. Sometimes you need to be a little bit uncomfortable to really go for things and commit to things. He wanted to make sure I was committed. So he turned around to me one day and said, look, I want to give you equity in this company. And, I'm thinking, this is amazing. I want equity, right? And it wasn't called Help Bank back then. It was called The Purposeful Project for a couple of years. But yeah, he said, look, I want to offer you equity, but there's one catch, I guess, one thing. I want you to pay for it. And I was like, okay, how much do you want? And he said, well, how much savings do you have? And I turned around to him and I said, I've got 15K in life savings. I've, built that up over being careful with my money and investing it into S&P 500 or whatever, right? And I said it, 15K. So he said, okay, put that in and you get the equity. And you know what? I kind of just turned around to him in that moment and said okay, fine. This money I'd kind of kept aside. So it wasn't that big a deal for me. I think the opportunity and the mission of what we were doing, that's the key thing. I think the mission of what we were doing really mattered to me far more than any numbers I had in a bank account somewhere, right? So yeah, I'm all in on Help Bank now. I'm a shareholder in the company, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's amazing. And so what is the purpose of Help Bank for someone that doesn't know?
We want to help people be free, basically. I think there's a lot of people out there that are trapped in a job that they hate, trapped in certain lifestyles, and we want to free humanity, basically. And we do that through a number of ways. We've built Simon Socials up to spread our message and our purpose and our mission, and to wake people up with this "What's your dream?" content that Simon's famous for on the street. But then we've set up a number of resources to help people. So we have the inspiring content online. We have the deep dive content on YouTube where Simon shares all of his knowledge. And we have the Help Bank platform itself where people can go and they can ask questions and get help from other people. And the key thing with that, I think, is that something we discovered was it's not just about giving people help, it's about making help, convenient for the people that do help. Right. So initially we thought we were just, giving help to people, but then we understood that what we were actually doing was helping people help people.
Yeah.
So we have the Help Bank platform as well, and we have a Discord community of 11,000 entrepreneurs that all help each other. So we have a lot going on, a lot of resources. And if anyone listening wants to find those, you can go to simonsquibb.com. And you can find them all on his site.
And I think that's so important because in my personal entrepreneurial journey, whatever you want to call it, is help is something that you always need because it's so important to know that you can't do everything by yourself.
Yeah, no one's self-made. Yeah.
No, completely. And so how important do you think collaboration is when you're a founder?
Yeah, so I know where you're getting this question from. I did a LinkedIn post the other day, and I spoke about collaboration and how important that is in my own business philosophy, right? But the hook in that was tread on people to get ahead is bullshit, right? Tread on people to get ahead, something along those lines, right? I actually forget what I even wrote. But I just hate that notion that, it's dog eat dog, it's me versus you in business. I think real business is offering something to the world, something of value, and you get rewarded for that, right? That's it at its core, capitalism at its core, right? I honestly think that all businesses can be somewhat philanthropic if you approach it in the right mindset. Yeah, we should be helping people, helping each other with our businesses. We shouldn't be, competing and fighting. It's about offering your gift to the world. That's my personal philosophy of business. Yeah, if someone out there is, on the same mission as you, great, partner up. Let's do it together. If the mission really matters to you so much, then you should do it together. If someone out there is competing with Help Bank in the work that we do, brilliant. More people in the world are getting help, right? It's brilliant. It's good, right?
And I think it's so important to see it as such a positive thing as well, especially what we're trying to do. So we're trying to promote financial education. So the more people that are doing, the more calls we get on and opportunities we have to collaborate with other people, because at the end of the day, the problem is bigger than all of us. Yeah. And so collaboration is so, so important.
Yeah, and we're all so much stronger together. I think the perfect way of articulating this and visualizing this, I guess, is sort of the dynamic I have between myself, Simon, and Jack, who's my business partner. I am very much a creative, and I suck in a lot of other areas. I'm not a particularly great manager. I'm not particularly great at the commercial side of things. In that creative space, I think I'm pretty good. Jack is excellent in that commercial space. He's brilliant. He has excellent perception. I'll always go to him with titles, and he'll pick a few, and then we'll A/B test them from there. Some of Jack's favorites, right? And then Simon is just probably one of the most exceptional human beings I've ever met in my life for a number of ways, and I'll be severely underselling him by describing his skill set, but he's always been an expert leader, probably the best leader I've ever seen in my life, a brilliant visionary, brilliant salesman, charismatic, a personality. I can go on. Yeah, he does. I don't want to lick his ass too much. I know I'll be watching this, but yeah, I think that's what business truly is. Find alignment with other cool people that you love, or you like, maybe you don't have to love them, and work together on a mission you love. That was what I was trying to say. Yeah. Work together on a mission you love with other people that complement each other. That's how you build a team, right? Yeah.
And so how do you think Simon's mentorship from podcast to co-founding a business with him has helped your personal development?
Yeah, it's been pretty huge for me. I think I almost struggle to pinpoint exactly what it is, because I think you learn by osmosis. Yeah. They say you become your 5 closest friends.
So now you love independent coffee shops because
Yeah.
Simon loves independent
exactly.
coffee shops.
Yeah. I kind of you kind of just become the people that you surround yourself with. And Simon's a little bit of a coffee snob. Now I'm a coffee snob just because I spend so much time with him, you know. But yeah, I've kind of learnt from osmosis with Simon, particularly about his philosophy in life and in business. The main thing, I guess, is dream so big, dream crazy big that people think you're nuts. Because if you do that and you really like extend how far you can dream and how far you can imagine your future, your business's future, how you can change the world, whatever, you know, it's kind of like aim for the stars, land on the moon. I believe, and I believe Simon also believes this, is that you become what you believe and you can achieve whatever you believe, you know, so it's how far you set your sights.
And I think that's
makes
what
you
I
a
love
success.
being about a business owner is you can literally do whatever you want.
Yeah.
In the last 6 months, I've been to places I've literally never even thought would be possible.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it, and it's sick.
Yeah, for sure.
You are obviously known at Help Bank for, like, what's your dream? Like, that's all that he's like, oh my God, that's the guy that
Simon
asked,
is the
"What's
guy
your
in the
dream?"
street.
Yeah. So how did you come up with that idea in the first place? Because we had a conversation where you were like, when you found him, all his TikToks were very much him just speaking to the camera.
Yeah.
And now it's very much a mix of education and entertainment without people realising. I started my career studying for the AAT qualification whilst working as an apprentice in accounting. Not only do I have a recognised qualification on my CV, it's given me the skills and experience to progress and start my own accounting firm at just 21, all whilst avoiding university debt. So, whether you're a school leaver or you've already started working, it could be a great opportunity for you to build an exciting career in finance. There are opportunities in virtually every industry, from accountancy practices such as KPMG to companies such as Network Rail and Microsoft, and even the NHS. There is no limit to your potential. Find out more about accounting apprenticeships at aat.org.uk/unconventional.
So when I first met Simon had a small following on TikTok, but all other platforms he was somewhat unknown. Yeah, he was doing these talking head videos, as you say, which were doing okay, but by no means viral. He had a few videos go crazy. That was where he built his following from, but it was somewhat inconsistent. And how did that video come about? So I'd be lying if I said it was me. I don't want to claim credit because it's just not the truth. It was very much a collaboration between Simon, Jack and myself. I think the way that you come up with content ideas and content formulas, and that's the key word, formula, you need something that's consistent that you can regenerate over and over again and iterate on. The way that you do it is, it's almost just test, and then suddenly you find something, like a bit of a stab in the dark. It's like, okay, there's something there, and then you iterate on that over and over and over again, and you develop it, and then it will become like a fully fledged show or content formula that people recognize you for. So the way that it came about, Simon was basically, he was on live one day, on TikTok Live, and they just launched this new feature called gifting on lives, right? And by the time that he'd finished the live, he saw that he had $120 in his TikTok AdSense account, right? He was like, oh my God, I've just earned money from this. And his whole philosophy is never charge people for help. And he was on that live helping people. So he decided, you know what, I'm just going to give this money away. And he went into Tesco's later that day and went up to a lady and he said, would you ever start a business of your own? And she gave this, as Simon says, she gave this beautiful sort of like vision for what she wanted to do with her life and this business she wanted to grow. And Simon turned around and said, okay, sure. Here's $120. I'll be your first client, right? Customer. And her like Simon describes this as like her eyes changed, she lit up, you know, like that moment of like, wow, someone believes in me, right? So Simon walked out of the shop, you know, feeling happy with himself. It was a nice moment, but he regretted the fact that he didn't record it. So what he did, he got some more money out of the bank account and went to Pizza Express, I believe, and went straight up to the guy at the front desk and said, hey, would you ever start a business? And the dude also had an idea and he gave him some money, filmed it. We put it on TikTok and the video went like somewhat crazy. And at that point I was like, right, there's something in this. We need to pursue this more. And I guess Jack and I sort of like took Simon's discovery on that day and together we iterated on it and developed the content and you know filmed it in the street. We initially called it like Metaverse Bank, where we had aspirations to open up a bank in the metaverse, and our sort of like MVP was to go in the street with a massive cardboard sign saying Metaverse Bank, and we just hand out money like nutcases on the street. And from there, we just developed the content, got a little bit clearer, came up with a "What's your dream" hook line that Simon's famous for now, which is, I guess just a quick lesson for the listeners, like that line in particular was a little bit more accessible than would you ever start a business?
Yeah.
You know, some people turn on the business, but everyone has a dream.
Yeah.
So, we became accessible to everyone. And I think the main reason why that content has been so successful, that particular formula, is because what Simon was doing in the early days with the talking head videos, he was trying to educate people on these short form platforms, TikTok, Instagram Reels, etc. But if you think about the typical, person scrolling on these platforms, they're kind of like, doom scrolling and a bit of a dopamine drip kind of thing. And, you can imagine them visually, like maybe slumped over on the sofa. Like
it's me curled up in bed with my jelly cakes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, that type of person doesn't necessarily want to be educated.
Yeah.
But what they want to do, they want to be entertained. So when we really cracked this formula was when we realized, okay, it's not about education. It's this thing called edutainment, right? I had to make sure I got that right. Edutainment, right? Where you subtly educate people through entertainment.
Yeah.
So it's like Simon goes up to someone in the street and he asks them, what's your dream? It's like, hang on, right, what's this dude doing going up to people in the street, like waking them up in that moment? Like it's entertaining. But through that conversation and through that storyline of, okay, this person has a dream. Okay, they want to do this. Okay, this thing's stopping them and holding them back. And then it's that fourth moment in the storyline where Simon unravels that and takes away these hurdles that they put in front of themselves. Because, most people, if they're not achieving something,
there's always a why to it.
A lot of the time, people put barriers in front of themselves, right? That's the reason why they don't pursue their dreams, start that business, whatever. So Simon unravels those and takes those hurdles out of the way. And then the next one's obviously like, oh, I need a client or I need money or whatever. And Simon will turn around and say, here, here's a little bit of money. I'll be your first client. And it's just giving them that little bit of belief. It's through that we educate people about business, about taking those barriers away, about waking people up, about giving people some belief and inspiration, but we do it in an entertaining way.
And so to flip the question back to you, what is your dream?
What is my dream? Well, my dream is I want to wake people up. A big reason for why I do what I do now, when I was 5 years old, I realized I was going to die, as most kids do, right? But for whatever reason, this really stuck with me. And I remember it really vividly, like crying to my mum at 5 years old. I was stood just as high as the dishwasher was because I was a little 5-year-old. And it just... yeah, that really stuck with me all through my life. So as I've grown up, I've always been very cognizant of the fact that I'm going to die and I have this limited time in this somewhat, infinite universe, right? Yeah. And I just want to give this the best shot possible. I want the best life possible. I want to make sure that I make this worthwhile, right? So I think I want to wake people up to that fact. Like, your time is limited. You don't have any time to be working this job that you hate just to get by. You don't have any time to get trapped in this system. You gotta, you have a dream, you should be pursuing it.
Correct. And I think for me, that was the same thing.
Yeah.
So when I was at my corporate job, it was so easy for me to just stay there. And I think my worst nightmare was waking up at 60, retiring, going, oh, I've literally done nothing with my life. I've just been in this office 9 to 5 every single day and I've accomplished nothing. Yeah. And I think for me, that was so scary. And at that point, I was like, I really need to get out of here and do something. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's such wasted time.
For sure. It's kind of dark, but this whole notion of death, it brings urgency to life, It's like...
Bring out the tattoo.
Bring out the tattoo. Yeah, I've got it. It's literally my life philosophy. It's like memento mori. It's Latin for remember death. It sounds really morbid and my grandma hates it. But it basically means just, remember you're going to die one day. Make the most of it. Live now.
And I think that's so lovely and poetic with a hint of morbidness.
It's a good blend.
It is. What do you think is one of the most important behaviours to have as a business owner? As someone who started my own accountancy business, I know how exciting and challenging it can be. If you're looking to follow a similar path, Informe is here to help. A free website powered by AAT, Informe provides free guidance to empower small businesses to make more informed decisions. Informe will help unlock your inspiration and turn your idea into a reality and navigate the non-stop challenges of running a business from start up to scale up. Find out more at informe.co.uk/unconventional.
I think just maintain your integrity. For me, at least, anyway, that's been my experience. I've had a lot of opportunity come to me in my life because I've always protected my integrity. I've never, done bad by anyone. I truly do believe that good guys win.
Another LinkedIn post available.
Oh, there we go. I'll write that one. I'll make sure that that's put out to the world. But yeah, I think partnering up with Simon, I know for a fact one of the reasons why he did it was because I had integrity. Back then I was a good kid that had big dreams, a lot of energy, and we were aligned on the same mission. So it's like, yeah, let's go. And I've had a lot of opportunity come from that moment when me and Simon shook hands and partnered up. Trust people until you have a reason not to trust them.
And what's one of the biggest challenges that you've had? Because you've been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not been plain sailing the entire way through.
No, it definitely hasn't. Yeah. In the last 3 years, I think the biggest challenge for me has been mastering YouTube as a platform. We discovered and developed the What's Your Dream short form content quite quickly, but it took a long, long time for us to master that YouTube content and the YouTube formula. It's only really recently now, in the last 3 months or so, that things have popped off and, you know, the channel's been successful, right? That's been the biggest challenge for me. I think, you know, it's cliche, it's trite, but you kind of have to just go through that rite of passage as a business owner, as a content guy developing your content or whatever. You know, for the longest time, I was bleeding every day on this YouTube channel. You know, it was painful. We had so much success with the short form, which was great. There were moments where you know, Simon and I just turned around to each other and we said, like, shall we just pack it all in? Like, what's the point in doing this YouTube? Let's just double down on what we're good at, which might make sense. But there was always that part of me, that really stubborn part of me that was like, no, we're going to make this work. Like, I'm not going to get beaten by this stupid platform. And YouTube's like incredibly competitive. Like, if you speak to like the average 14-year-old in school or whatever, like, I feel like 50% of them will probably turn around and say, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to do this or that, right? So YouTube is a very, very difficult platform to master. There's so many different disciplines and skill sets you have to develop to do it. You're not just, you know, if you're managing the entire channel, you're not just an editor. You're also a thumbnail editor. You're also a copywriter creating titles that really hook people in. You're also a marketer, because if the YouTube platform isn't pushing you organically, then you're going to have to find that traffic from somewhere else to build out your channel. You know, there's so many different things that you have to master that it can be really, really tough compared to short form. But you know what? It's worth it. It builds deeper relationships with your audience. It helps people connect more. There's a lot more financial opportunity on the YouTube platform and through sponsorship on YouTube. So I'm very glad that we stuck at it, and the YouTube channel's been a big success recently. We're at 725,000 subscribers now.
Well done.
Yeah, we got a message from Alex Hormozy the other day saying your YouTube channel is killing it. So it's all been worth it. And I think for the audience to take away, you know, whatever you're doing right now, if you're stuck in a tough spot or, you know, you're struggling and you're going through that rite of passage, just keep your head down one step at a time and keep pushing, because one day, you know, you'll get a message from Alex Hormozy. It's all worth it. So.
And I think the YouTube videos are so good. So for me, I've got a very short attention span, and I feel like TikTok has definitely made that worse for my generation in particular. But the YouTube videos are broken down in such a way that it's so digestible. Like, I can't sit through a movie to save my life, but I could sit through the 2.5 hour Simon Squibb video and write notes and feel engaged and feel like I'm learning something and have like points of action to take away. And I think that's what's so valuable, because most YouTube videos, if they're that long, no one's going to give a second look at them. Yeah. But how did you learn to make it digestible?
So there's a few points on this, I think. I think that the video that people might be most familiar with us for on the YouTube platform is 30 years of business knowledge in 2 hours and 26 minutes. It's sat at over 4 million views now, which is crazy numbers for the business niche. So there's a few elements to it. I think first of all, the way that the YouTube platform works is different to short form. Short form, you're just delivered up content. You don't choose to watch it, you're just given it. Yeah. So just watch it, right? With YouTube, you have to compete with other channels and other videos to get that click in the first place. So you need the title and the thumbnail. And I think the way that we hooked people in the first place, so even before you even ask this question about digesting the content, I think you got to hook them in, right? And the way that we did this, you know, not a lot of people can compete with 30 years of business knowledge.
I've been alive 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of have to look at your own competitive advantage, and everyone has their own. You know, take a moment to sit there and think, like, what do I have that no one else has? Maybe it's personality, maybe it's knowledge, whatever it is, just double down on that and lead with that. So we led with that, 30 years of business knowledge in 2 hours and 26 minutes. It's not a crazy clickbait title. It just is what it is. And we've become known for that. You know, just Simon is very much just that real, authentic guy. Here I am. you know. So that's the first step, I think. The second step is really a killer intro. Here you want to, you know, develop your authority that you laid out in the title, but also, you know, back that up and let the audience know that this isn't, you know, I wasn't clickbaiting you. I'm not lying in the title. Like, this is for real. I'm a 30-year, well, technically Simon's actually 35 years in business, you know, business veteran. I've exited multiple companies, you know, I'm the real deal. And then off the back of that, we actually straight up listed out basically the table of contents of the video. So each of the different stages, that video in particular was covering like everything in business.
Yeah, completely.
So it was all you know, how to get sponsorship, how to PR your business, how to market your business, you know, how to hire someone, how to fire someone. Like, Simon went through the whole thing. So I think giving the audience that opportunity to know that something's coming. Maybe there's a certain thing in that video that someone wants to watch. They'll stick around for that. So I think that's part of it. I mean, the rest of it really, you know, I can say, you know, break it down into chapters, which, you know, we did. To make it a little bit more digestible. But from there, honestly, I have to be frank with you, I think I just have to give it up to Simon. Like, the way that the dude talks and delivers the content in a real way, because, you know, this is our competitive advantage. Simon is the real deal. I don't think a lot of people realise this, you know, as a guy that goes up to people in the street and just, he was kind of known as the guy in the street that asks, what's your dream? Like,
but also, he doesn't do it in a suit or anything. Like, he just does it in comfortable clothes, which I also think is important, because it's the really small things like that make it more relatable.
But the funny thing is, that's how you know he's the real deal. Because all these posers on social media that dress in all their fancy suits and, like, you know, they Andrew Tates of the world or whatever, people that are really rich, and you'll know this when you meet, like, really rich people, they don't want to be seen as rich. That's the funny thing, right? So Simon is a rich dude, and he doesn't really want to be seen that way. That's why he dresses in, you know, Lululemon tracksuit trousers and, his content jacket. He wears the same jacket all the time, right?
Does he have two, or does he just put them on a wash?
I hope he has two. I'm honestly not sure.
When you started doing this, who was someone in the industry that you looked up to and that you wanted to meet?
You know, it's kind of funny I mentioned that Alex Hormozy message, because I've always really respected the dude. And we have, you know, we've got it in the calendar to meet him later on this year in Vegas, so that's quite exciting. So yeah, I guess I'd really love to meet him, and we're going to do that, so that's cool. Recently, we took the whole team out to Dubai, you know, filming some content, going to some events and stuff like that. And we had a dinner with Iman Gadzi, who's always been kind of cool. He's kind of, he is a little bit like one of those like guys in the suits that like flexes the fancy lifestyle or whatever, but I think, you know, as a 20-year-old getting into business, I think that is somewhat sexy. I don't really consume his content so much anymore, but that was definitely a cool moment, like sitting down for a fancy dinner with Iman Gadzi. Like, it's pretty cool. Like,
and how was it?
A moment to reflect. Yeah, the dude is crazy smart. So he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
But he is incredibly switched on. It's like talking to a 50-year-old, you know, toe to toe with Simon. Like, they had a bit of a back and forth. Yeah, kind of scary. Just energizes me. Semi pisses me off because it's like, fuck, I want to be that too. But it's all a process. The dude's been in it for, you know, since he was 14 or something. So he's like years in the game. So I think, you know, you just got to appreciate that too. But yeah, that was a cool moment.
And what did you take away from it?
There's just so much to learn, you know. I think that was the main thing. It just kind of revealed my own flaws, I guess, which isn't a bad thing. Like, look, I'm 4 years into the game properly. So yeah, it's just, it's a process, it's time. We've got to trust the process. I'll be there soon. But yeah, I guess that's what I took. It just energized me to like keep pushing on. Like, I ain't done shit yet. You know, there's so much more to conquer.
Sometimes when you meet people like that, it really puts you in your place. Like, sometimes I go, okay, like, I'm doing things, I'm okay. And then I'll meet someone I really look up to, and I'll have a conversation with them. I go, oh my God, I've literally done nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like at stage 1. I need to like get hustling now.
You got to be careful with it because it's semi-toxic, you know? Yeah, I think just let it energize you. Let it piss you off a little bit in that good way. But then, you know, just get your head down. You're doing great already. Just keep pushing, you know.
Completely agree. What is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Definitely partner up with Simon Squibb. I think I've done a pretty good job of this, but I think keep good people around you. You know, like I said earlier, like, it's try it again, but you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, you know, so make sure you spend lots of time with people like Simon Squibb. Make sure you spend lots of time with people like Jack Wen still. Like, Jack, I haven't spoken about him on this podcast much just yet, but he is like a brother to me. I, in some ways, owe almost as much to him as I do to Simon, just because, you know, we've been in this self-development, you know, business partnership together the whole time. Like, as brothers in the trenches together, just fighting, just making it happen, keeping each other accountable. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think, yeah, keep good people around you, but I think brotherhood or maybe sisterhood if you're a woman, or, you know, just having like partners, I think is actually really powerful, because you, not only do you, like Jack and I, our skill sets complement each other so much. Like I lead the creative, he leads the commercial, and he has great perception. So he like dips into the content too a little bit. We are so well-rounded. Like Jack literally just got offered a 250K a year salary at a job. He didn't take it because obviously he's working with Helpbank. But, you know, together, I genuinely think Jack and I are probably worth millions as a power pack. And I think when you find good people that you can trust, that you align with, but also with that complementary skill set, I think that is like uber powerful. Like Simon has this quote, I guess, saying like 1 + 1 = 11. I'm just regurgitating Simon Squibb knowledge at this point. But
do you want to do a list of your favourite quotes from Simon Squibb?
Oh, I could go on and on. Give without take. 1 + 1 = 11. Yeah, but yeah, he says 1 + 1 = 11. You know, like the sum of a partnership is much greater than the sum of its parts, right? Yeah. That would be my advice. Just stick good people around you that you can trust, and partner up when you're aligned with them.
And so how did you meet Jack in the first place?
Yeah, Jack was also from my podcast as well, you know. So I literally owe everything to that stupid podcast that I cringe looking back at now. It's called Happy Days with Callum Church, if anyone wants to look at Callum in that era. I met Jack through the podcast. He moved to my town on the south coast, Worthing. And yeah, we've just been in the fight every day together since. Yeah, we're actually moving into a flat together at the end of the month. So we're doubling down on the brotherhood and the partnership.
You'll love that so much. You'll have such a fun time.
For sure.
And then when you have an idea, you can just go knock on his bedroom door.
Yeah.
What do you think Jack has taught you about partnering with someone?
I trust Jack with my life. And I think you need that. Like when you're on a mission, like the mission that we're on, like freeing people and stuff, which is tough. I think you really need to have that brotherhood like that, you know, almost like
ride or die.
Yeah. Literally, like almost like, you know, brothers in the trenches together. Like, you know, I've got your back, you got mine. You know, like I think you can go so far if you have that in your life. I know I definitely have in the last few years, like having Jack as a brother. So yeah, I'm very grateful for Jack. I think, but integrity is everything. If you can truly, wholly 100% trust someone, yeah, it's incredible what you can do. Yeah.
Matching tattoos pending.
I would love to get a Helpbank tattoo. I'm trying to
start a petition.
I mean, Jack's not really much of a tattoo guy. I only have one. I'm not particularly either, but I think, you know, it would be cool to get matching tattoos just to mark it. Maybe if we have a big exit or IPO or something like that, then maybe we'll
or TikTok's running dry and you need some viral content. Come with me to get Helpbank tattoo.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, worth it for one video. I don't know.
And so anyone looking to have help starting a business or wants to actually give their help, where should they go?
So you can sign up to helpbank.com, where you can ask questions, get questions answered. You can answer other people's questions. We have a leaderboard, and you know, if you perform well in the leaderboard at the end of each month, we give out cash prizes to people. That's sort of like the MVP model that we're running right now at Helpbank. So you can do that. You can check out Simon's YouTube channel, where he gives literally all of his knowledge. So if you're looking for mentorship or you're looking for Simon to help you with your business, don't DM him because he has millions of DMs. Just don't even bother going there. Just go to the YouTube channel, watch his videos. I think you'll get a lot of value there. You can sign up to our Discord. I mean, if you want to find all these resources, the easiest place to go is probably simonsquibb.com, and we have them all listed out. You can find our Discord there as well. Simon's Telegram, where you can message Simon, because a lot of people want to do that. Yeah, just go to simonsquibb.com. I think you can find it all there. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate you.